Hey fellow Trek Chatters, I'm Pit Trekkie and welcome to another episode of Pittsburgh's Trek Chat. So for today's episode, this is something that's been weighing on me. It's been bothering me for about a week since I actually first found it. I have been a big fighter against fan bullying. I hate seeing Star Trek fans going at it with each other. You got people that are fans screaming at each other about old Trek is better than new Trek is better than old Trek. You've got people that don't like the new Trek now being called haters. You've got people that love the new Trek that are being called Drekkies by the other side. Fans are just constantly at each other's throats. But now it's also spilling into insults of the celebrities on the show. So about a week ago, I was on social media. I'm not going to say where I was at or where I found this. But I saw a post that somebody had created. It was actually based off of this meme, this picture here. All right, and in the picture you see, it's a shot, I believe, from the season, or the second episode of Discovery's third season. Tilly and Burnham are talking in a hallway together. And if you look in the picture, it looks like Tilly has gained an excessive amount of weight. So this fan that decided to create this meme made this comment, and it states, "He called me a red-headed cookie monster." All right. Now there were some people who did not like the meme in this post that I found, but a lot of fans actually laughed at it and ran with it. And made some pretty disgusting comments toward Mary Wiseman, who plays Ensign Sylvia Tilly on Discovery. All right, let me give you some examples of what our tolerant Star Trek fans, some of them, said about Mary Wiseman and her weight. First one, "That's 'cause you eat fucking too many cookies, fatty. Get to the holodeck and do some laps. We need her to go train with Tuvok and jog through the entire ship." Second one, "Holy hell, is that Big Bertha?" Third comment, "Is her arse pregnant as well as her belly? And for all of you snowflakes, I'm not saying she is a fat cow, but how are you supposed to be, but you are supposed to be fit in Starfleet. Bet she can only run to the chocolate shop." I saw this and I was stunned. And to be honest with you, there were several more that people had made on that site, on that page, and I was just appalled. I mean, I wasn't going to sit there and write all of them down and say here, just those three are bad enough to have to say. I don't know if she was made aware of any of these comments at all, and believe me, I'll be honest with you, I hope that she wasn't, because I'd feel awful if I were in her position. For people to say those kind of comments, to fat shame her for absolutely no reason whatsoever except to say they don't like Discovery. It's sickening, and it breaks my heart. Be honest with you, I tried to see if there were any other pictures, because a couple days after I saw the picture, there was another one that somebody had posted, and it had clearly been photoshopped to the point where Tilly almost looked like Jabba the Hutt in the picture. Like they had blown her up fully, her sides, her face, just to make her look completely distorted and excessively morbidly obese. And some sort of snarky comment was underneath it. I can't remember it. I wish I would have saved the picture when I saw it at that moment, so that I could show you the disgusting crap that it was. And I tried looking for it today and I couldn't find it. But it was disgusting. I'm appalled that any Star Trek fans would go after any human being, but to go after one of the cast members for being a little bit overweight, it's absurd. It's absurd, and it makes no sense to me. So I guess the question that people might be asking is, why are you calling this out? Why am I calling this out in this episode? And because I am a therapist, and to be honest with you, I'm a big guy. Go back through my episodes that I've been doing. I've been doing this show since September 2017. And at my highest weight, I was at 280 pounds. Last December, I started on the keto diet, and I've lost 83 pounds so far, okay? I know what it feels like to be trapped in a fat body, okay? It's not comfortable, and it's not something that I wanted to have happen. It's something that I let get out of control. And I had people fat shame me to the point where I was feeling bad about myself, but I was fat shaming myself more than that. And people don't need to be constantly reminded and berated based on their weight. So let me just give some thought on fat shaming in general. So I went on a website. I did a Yahoo search today, and I went on to a website called www.revivezone.com. And in its July 19th, 2019 story called Fat Shaming Effects in Our Life, there are several different consequences that could lead to people having problems based off of fat shaming. All right. The first one is it can lead to people feeling guilty about their eating habits. All right. And it's easy for people to get caught up in overeating or emotional eating. I'm one of those people. I've been a therapist for 17 years. Especially working with children and adolescents. I've heard some horrible horror stories. I've heard some of the worst sexual abuse stories toward kids, physical abuse towards kids, kids abusing and killing animals. I've heard parents beating their kids to a pulp, doing drugs. That was one way that I would deal with some of the emotional distress, is overeating. Okay? And it's something that I felt very guilty about. Every time that I would eat meat until I couldn't eat anymore, because I just felt like I couldn't control it anymore. Okay? It made me feel awful, and it affected my mental health and my self-esteem. All right? So some of the effects of fat shaming: psychological stress, such as feelings of anxiety, feelings of depression, and feeling isolated. All right? Because a lot of times when you are overweight and you have people that are around you that are in better control and they're exercising and they're making better choices about what they're eating, it can lead to you feeling alone, okay? And then you're anxious to go around people. There was a family party that I had a year ago. A cousin of mine was graduating from high school, and her graduation party was last year. And I actually didn't want to go. I only went because I felt it would have been rude for me to go otherwise, but I was so embarrassed by my weight, I didn't want to go. I was afraid to eat. I was afraid that people were talking about the way I looked behind my back, my own family, you know. I'm glad I went, and I felt a little bit comfortable as I stayed there, but it was very uncomfortable. And like I said, I didn't want to go, and I'm glad I did so that I could see my cousin's party. But it does. It makes you feel anxiety. It makes you feel depressed. It makes you feel like nobody else can understand what you're going through. It reduces confidence, such as demotivation. So if you're feeling like, if you want to call yourself a fat tub of lard, and those are things that people who are overweight tend to call themselves. All right. A lot of times, instead of being motivated to make the change, they feel so bad about themselves, which is typical with depression. People with depression tend to lose motivation and they tend to lose energy. So they end up going back into the habits that have kind of got them where they're at that moment. Eating disorders. You can have people that decide, I'm such a big person, I look disgusting and gross, that I'm not going to eat at all. So you got anorexia, where you stop eating or you severely restrict your eating. Or you have bulimia, where you you eat neat, and then you purge it by throwing up. All right, and that's not healthy. And it can also affect your physical health. A lot of times people don't realize that physical health and mental health are actually combined. A lot of times when people are feeling anxious, for example, a lot of times are depressed, a lot of times they'll have physical symptoms such as rapid heartbeat, they'll have high blood pressure, they'll have headaches, they'll have tremors, all right? And it's the same thing that happens with these physical type of issues, all right? So basically what I'm asking myself is this tolerance? And hell no, it's not tolerance of any shape or form. One thing I've noticed about the bullying in the Star Trek fandom is it doesn't matter if you're calling people haters or if you're calling them Dreckies or you're calling them whatever. A lot of times the people doing that will justify it by using edict at the end. And that's bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sick and tired of people using bully tactics to harm other fans and then using edict as a reason to do it. I'm tired of that crap. It's ridiculous. Okay? We all know as fans, and I would hope that we would all know, that the whole point of edict, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, is to accept anybody for who they are. We're all human. We have our strengths. We have our weaknesses. We're all unique and different. That's what makes us so special coming together, is that all these differences make us something unique and special. You know, and I don't understand how people can rip apart other fans. Trekkies can rip other fans apart and say that, and justify it by saying, well, it's infinite diversity. I don't want to hear that anymore. If you're going to show edict, then you got to show it in your life. You got to show it in your interactions and the way you live your life. It's really disgusting. What did Mary Wiseman do to deserve this type of abuse? And that's what it is. It's abuse. Because she has done nothing but create a very interesting, unique character, in my opinion, to the Star Trek franchise. You know, until Tilly, all the years I've been a Star Trek fan, over 30 years, I've never sat back and said, you know what, this character reminds me of me. You know, and I'm not going to lie, I have not kept it shy on this show that I've never been a big fan of Discovery. But one thing I do like about the show are the characters and the actors and actresses that embody these characters. They seem to care very much about fandom. They seem to care very much about what they're doing on the show. Whether we like the writing or the setting or whatever it is, they love coming to work. You can see it in their work. You can see it in their interactions with the fans. She's never said or done anything to hurt anybody. Anybody. And yet the fans, Star Trek fans, people who don't like Discovery, feel that this is okay to do? Like, where does the mindset come from? I just don't get it. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself over and over. I'm floored that I'm doing an episode about this. It's just unreal. You know? I mean, and then these people act like there's never been any obese Star Trek character. For goodness sakes, look at Scotty in the last couple Star Trek movies. Nobody said anything per se about him. Now, there was no social media back then. And there was a joke on The Simpsons in one episode where they did an episode, and it began with, I guess it was a very futuristic Star Trek movie where the characters were extremely elderly, the actors were elderly, and Scotty was kind of morbidly obese and couldn't reach the controls or anything like that. So, I mean, there have been a couple jokes here and there, but nothing to this extreme. And even that's not funny, you know. But nobody really complained about Scotty being obese. Everybody was just happy that Scotty was there. So, like, what's the big deal? If Tilly has a few extra pounds on her, who cares? Who cares? She's there. She's unique. She's an entertaining character. What I find that I relate to with her is her awkwardness. I think she has a lot of goals, a lot of things that she wants to do. I think she wants to have friendships and communicate with other people and reach out, and she doesn't know how to do it. And I feel like that a lot of times myself. Just in my interactions with coworkers, with family even. Family, especially people on Twitter. I oftentimes feel like I'm very awkward on Twitter, and I try to reach out to people, and a lot of times I feel like I'm not good enough. And that's one thing I try to do with this show, is I try to network with people and show people who I am, because I just don't feel like I can do it any other way. And Tilly has given me kind of that confidence. And I love seeing that kind of, I guess if you want to call it, representation. You know, somebody who's awkward but is very goal-driven. So to see this being said about her, it hurts me inside. It would hurt me with anybody, but it kind of zings me a little bit even more knowing it's her. And Mary Wiseman, like I said, has done nothing to anybody. She's not been mean to the fans. She hasn't said anything disrespectful. So I don't know why people think this was okay to do. You know, so just some concluding thoughts on this video. Fan bullying, whether toward other fans or toward the actors, it's hit an all-time high. And I think a lot of that has to do with the whole keyboard warrior thing. I think you got a lot of scared, timid people who want to lash out for whatever hurt they have inside themselves, and they don't have the guts to do it in person, but they will go ahead and do it behind a computer screen. Even if it has an icon with their picture or their real name, they don't have to confront that person face to face. And trust me, it makes it a lot harder to confront people than it does in person than it does over social media. So social media is littered with a lot of cowards, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of cowards. And it's just really sad. People need to start really looking into themselves and asking themselves, why am I doing this? And first of all, if they even have the thought or the inkling to do something like this, to say to themselves, stop and think for a second. If this were me, how would I feel if somebody was saying something along these lines about me? You know, I teach this to the kids in therapy. Stop, think, and then act. Okay? Stop. Slow your brain down. Slow your thoughts down. Review it. If I do this, how am I going to be affected, and how are other people going to be affected? Then you have to make your decision, and hopefully it's the right one that doesn't hurt you or other people. Okay? So I think also fans need to start understanding, they need to start asking themselves as Trekkies, is this edict? Stop throwing the word edict around or the acronym edict around to justify shitty behaviors. If you want to practice edict and you want to be a positive Star Trek fan, then you need to live and embrace edict. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated, equally, fairly. No more of this name-calling bullshit. Enough is enough. It's sad. And like I said, I'm sorry that I had to even do an episode about this, but Mary Wiseman deserves better than that. Star Trek fandom deserves better than that. I would think as Star Trek fans, with trying to embrace edict, we would be better than a lot of the other fandoms out there, and that we would actually treat people with respect the way that we want to be treated. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter who they are. I don't understand how Star Trek fans who embrace edict then turn around and go into their 21st century juvenile crap and fall in line with that. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It's not common sense, people. It's basic. If you're not going to say something nice to somebody about somebody, keep it in your brain. Say it to yourself out loud if you have to. But don't put it out on social media, because you're making yourselves look like dicks. Enough. It's just enough. So anyway, I'd like to get your thoughts on this picture that I posted here. What are your thoughts on what this individual said about Mary Wiseman? Please feel free to comment down below. I'd love to get some feedback on this one. Please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to build up the channel a little bit more. Hit the bell so you can get notifications of when new episodes are coming. Just come on to find my channel. Just come on to YouTube, type in Pittsburgh's Trek Chat. It'll take you directly to my channel. You can follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Pittsburgh's Trek Chat. You can also follow it at PGH Trek Chat on Twitter. I look forward to talking to all of you in the next episode, and until then, may yins live long and prosper.